Welcome back to our podcast following the creation of the shows for Festival of Short Plays 50/50 in 2020. Today we will be following the making and challenges of the fourth play in our festival, Super Hot Raven and Raven 2, The Ravening by Megan Goggerty. This play follows a young woman, poet, as she stumbles upon a mysterious woman, Raven, in her apartment, fixing her radiator. Here's an excerpt of the poem, The Raven, by Edgar Allan Poe, which inspired this play. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the word whispered, Lenore? This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, Lenore! Merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning. Soon again I heard a tapping, somewhat louder than before. Surely, said I, surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what threat is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more. Open here I flung the shutter, when with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least, open here I flung the shutter, when with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou, I said, art sure no craven, ghastly grim and ancient raven, wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is, on the night's Plutonian shore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Much I marvelled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevancy bore, for we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculpture bust above his chamber door, with such a name as nevermore. When listening to the reading of Super Hot Raven, pay attention to similarities between this text and the text of the play. Since you've heard a little background about the play, we will now move on to a short question and answer with the designers. We have Stacy Olson, who is the set designer, Cassie Sand, who is the costume designer, and Katrina Seek, who is the lighting designer. I'll start with Stacy. This is a question from Rick Getz. Since there have been no rehearsals, have you thought about changes you would make given more time?
Yeah, if I had the time to craft and build in the scene shop, if we were still on campus and building as usual, I would have spent a long time working on the set dressings for the show and focusing on making them quirky and driven by cues from the script, as well as working with the actor to discuss what they think would be necessary, like what their character would have in their room. It's a little bit of character work incorporated with the set design.
Awesome. Cassie, I know since I worked with you on this project that there was a plan to reverse the letters and numbers on the Baltimore Ravens jersey for Raven to make her seem a bit more out of place. Had you explored how to do that at all? Would there be any heat tools or MacGyvering of some sort happening to do that?
Yes, there was a plan to reverse the letters and the numbers on the jersey. I was looking at two options to create the jersey. One was to buy a customized Baltimore Ravens jersey from the official team. Then the other was to create a jersey from scratch. Through the official team website, there wasn't really an option to reverse any of the letters or numbers. So I decided to create the jersey from scratch, as it probably would be cheaper in the long run. And I was going to buy a similar plain purple jersey and iron all of the Baltimore Raven logos. And then we were going to get similar fabric to use for the number, and then cut it out, flip it, and then use a heat bond to get it on the jersey. And then the name could have been printed out and reversed on transfer paper and then just ironed onto the back.
Cool. Katrina, what are the challenges of creating a thunderstorm in a show? Did the director want lighting to happen in certain areas of the play? and how does one account for that?
Yes, so I think the biggest challenge for me in creating Thunderstorm the show would have been trying to figure out how to do it on the board. I think there are a couple different options on how to do it, and so picking the best option that looks the way we want it, not necessarily more realistic since it's not a crazy realistic show, but that would have been my biggest challenge. And the script called for lighting or the lightning in certain areas, so we would have put it there, and then we could have added more if they had come up in rehearsal.
Great, thank you all so much. So before we hear a reading from Super Hot Raven, we're going to talk briefly with our director, Crystal Heidelbaugh. Hi, Crystal. How are you going to approach intimacy choreography? This play obviously has a lot of intimacy, as we can hear in the stage directions that we'll listen to in the play. And I was just wondering if you were going to guide your actors in a certain way, or how do you guide your actors now that we're doing a play reading instead of an actual full-fledged play?
So one of the things that we had to think about in the casting process was if the two female characters kiss in the play. So we had to first ask the actors who were auditioning if they were comfortable with intimacy between another actor of the same gender, to which both of my cast members said yes. So one of the things that I've come across when working with actors in the past has been being uncomfortable in such close quarters. And something that I did when I was working on a directing scene where I had to have two actors become very close with one another, I had them stand very close together for a length of time. And every time they would break character or they would laugh or something, they would start over. That's where I would start to get my actors more comfortable with one another, so that they wouldn't laugh or giggle when the time came to choreograph the kissing. At that point, I had considered asking Jennifer to come in and help, because I know in the Directing 2 class, they had a day where they were talking about how to direct intimacy on stage, and she gave some advice that others have told me has been like good advice. So that's where I would go from there, is to just start by working on getting the two actors comfortable with one another, and then moving to asking for help, because it's okay to ask for help. And then working on directing this scene with two people, one of which was my original cast member, and the other one has been so wonderful in stepping up and taking on the role of poet. Thank you. Has been different in the sense that we're not face to face to work on movement or facial expression, because it's just their voices. So something I really had to focus on was their intentions behind the things they were saying, and how important it was that they were getting their intentions across, because there's some parts where flirtation can come across as really misguided, in the sense that it can be misinterpreted. So working with my actors, I had a lot of sessions where we would just sit and we would work the lines and work how I wanted them to be said, and how it's okay to still use your face even though you're just voice acting, because your face is still part of acting, even if people can't see it.
Now we will have a reading from Super Hot Raven by Megan Goggerty, directed by Crystal Heidelbaugh. Jessica Arnold will be reading the part of Poet, and Melanie Gillett will be reading the part of Raven, with stage directions read by Crystal Heidelbaugh.
Don't you want people to like your poems?
I don't write poems for people to like them. I'm participating in a feminist neo-pagan choral tradition.
Oh,
I'm using my poems to ameliorate my feelings.
your depressed feelings.
Yes.
So, all that stuff about the goddess, that's Lenore?
No, the goddess is Gaia, the Earth Mother. Lenore is my ex.
She dumped you.
She left me.
And now you're writing poems about her?
Yes?
Okay.
When she left me, I thought about killing myself, but then I thought it would probably definitely lose my security deposit, and I didn't want to give her the satisfaction. So now I go out. I go out all the time. I do readings, I attend lectures, drum circles, coffees, I shop. I protest the commercialization of whatever holiday it is. I do everything. When all I really want to do is curl up in the bed and not move.
And you write poems about her, the one who dumped you.
Yes.
See, that's where I think you're making a mistake. If you keep writing about her, she's never going to leave you alone.
That is an excellent point. I'm sorry I called you stupid.
Nah, sometimes I do dumb things.
Like what?
Beat. They fall in love a little bit across the distance.
Impulsive things.
I wish I knew how to fix a radiator. I mean, I'm glad I don't.
So she dumped you. Why?
She had things she wanted to do. People, really.
No, I mean how? How could she dump you?
Well, you know, I'm so eloquent. I'm so good with words and not insulting people. I don't always see the other person, you know?
I could write a poem about Lenore and it would be better than your poems because it would rhyme.
You don't even know her.
I know enough. Let's see. Lenore is a whore and a bore and she snores.
That's an imperfect rhyme.
It's an imperfect world. She's feeling sore because you showed her the door, and now she's making war on whatever came before. It's causing an uproar galore. Send a message, semaphore. Lenore is no more worth setting store by than a poor four-leaf clover that's missing the four.
Those are good rhymes.
You want to cuddle up in bed all day? What's the matter with that? You could just stay here, get warm, drink tea, just stay in bed, never leave. It could be relaxing.
I have things to do.
Like what?
I can't think of anything while you're looking at me.
Am I?
Who are you?
I'm the one that's looking at you. Hasn't anybody ever looked at you before?
So, you're an angel from Dyke Heaven? You just go around from apartment to apartment fixing people, their problems, seducing them? What do you want from me?
Raven removes the mug of tea from Poet's hands.
I fixed your radiator.
I noticed.
Raven kisses Poet. They kiss more. It's super hot. It might be the hottest kiss of this whole play so far.
Never leave my bedroom.
Okay.
Thank you for watching this episode following the play Super Hot Raven and Raven 2, The Ravening by Megan Gogarty. Stay tuned later today to catch episodes on the last play in our festival, Well Done Poets. If you haven't already, have a look at our previous episodes following the shows In the Beginning, The Hour, and Rise. We hope that you have enjoyed yourself, and thank you for your support during this difficult time.